that is what made Monday through Thursday feel more special. And like I was actually living my life instead of like putting it on pause until Friday, Saturday. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this video, as you could tell by the title, we are talking about my decision to stop living for the weekend, and I'm going to share exactly how I am going to accomplish this. But before we jump into this video, make sure to follow me on all my social medias. The usernames are down below. And without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Okay, so this video came about because over the past few months, I feel like I fell into this routine to where I am only looking forward to Friday and Saturday. And then when Sunday comes around, I am dreading Monday. And when I became aware of this mindset, I kind of felt like icky. Like I don't want to continue this cycle of dreading the week until the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then the cycle repeats. Like I don't want to live my whole life dreading a good portion of my life, because once you think about it, 2 days out of the week of when you're like, okay, these are only 2 days where I could really live and have fun. That's not a lot. It's a very small percentage of your life. And so I know this is like really hard to achieve, and I'm not the only person who has become privy to just living for the weekend and wanting to change that, because as we all know, like work and responsibilities, those are draining. It's very draining, and it's easy to get stuck in a routine of, you know, going to work, coming home, sitting on the couch, eating, going to sleep, repeat. And when I think about that, I also think about, you know, the movie Soul. I don't know if you haven't watched it, go watch it. And I always think about that scene where the main character is looking, like gets a flash of his life, and he's like going to work, and then he's coming home, sitting on the couch and watching TV, staying up late, going to sleep, and then repeat. Like that's kind of the accumulation of his whole life. And like when I saw that, I was like, I don't want that to be me. I don't want to just live on autopilot my whole life and only allow myself to really enjoy myself on the weekend. And I know it's possible because there have been moments in my life where I felt like the week was fulfilling. You know, I may not have enjoyed every second of it, like going to work and like doing the hard things throughout the week. I may not have enjoyed every second, but the days felt more full, they felt longer, and I felt like each day kind of had something for me to look forward to. Like there are moments throughout my life that I could recall specifically, like for example, in college, when I feel like although you had classes and those were kind of boring and dreadful, there are like little pockets of time where going to a cafe and maybe studying or reading or whatever really brought that little spark to my day. Or like meeting up with friends on a random Wednesday afternoon, that was like a little spark that made my day feel, you know, more fulfilling. And so that's like one distinct period in my life where I felt like I wasn't just waiting for the weekend to roll around. Another period was actually recently around November. I was really intentional with planning classes and kind of going out a bit more. And I feel like over the past month, I really felt like I wasn't living for the weekend because I had things to look forward to. And maybe the holidays kind of contributed to that because, like, you know, I was planning things, I was getting things ready, and that's a good indicator of like the things that, you know, I need to do if I want every week to kind of feel this way. And so living for the weekend also came to mind because I also made a video on waiting to start living syndrome. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically like this mindset of putting things off for this unknown perfect moment in the future to where you're like, okay, now I could finally do X, Y, and Z. People put off traveling until like, until I overcome my fear of flying, or, I'm gonna wait to travel until I have someone to go with, or I'm gonna wait to start this project until I have like all the equipment ready. It's like that mindset of like just putting things off until, you know, you reach the end of your life and you didn't even do it. And so that's kind of waiting to start living syndrome. And I'll link the video down below to go more in depth. And so I feel like living for the weekend is kind of similar to that mindset, because it's like you're putting off living in the moment and living fully in the moment until the weekend. And you're doing this consistently every week. That's why I really wanted to sit down and evaluate and discuss this topic, because I know I'm not the only one. And I sat down and listed out the things that made my life feel more fulfilling in those periods in my life, like in college or in November and December. Like I listed the things that made the weeks feel more fulfilling and how I could integrate those steps into my weekly routine in order for my life to feel more fulfilling and to stop living for the weekend. So the first thing I noticed that was similar between when I was in college and over the span of like November and December is I was very intentional with planning my week. And what this means is actually sitting down and visualizing how I wanted my week to go instead of just kind of blindly going in and kind of sleepwalking through the week. Because I noticed that when I don't really plan for the week and I don't set like the intentions and goals I have for the week, I kind of just let it go by. And I don't really make progress on my goals. I don't make progress when it comes to feeling like I am taking advantage of the 24 hours that I was gifted that day. And so number one is being more intentional. And this means sitting down and writing down how I want my week to look, how I want it to feel, and the things I want to accomplish in that week. So whether it's like I want to go to the gym twice a week this week, I want to finish 2 chapters in my book this week, I want to write a blog post this week, I want to plan a coffee date with my friend this week, like actually writing those down in my calendar. The second one is actually inspired by a friend I interviewed for my series called On My Terms. Her name is Destiny. And in this interview, she said that hobbies are literally the anchor to how she's living her life and how she's creating a life that's authentic to her. And if you look at her socials, you can see how radiant she is, how full of life she is. And it's because she's always learning something new. She's always tapping into her hobbies. She's always looking for new hobbies. And so like that really inspired me because I was like this when I was younger. And I feel like we all are. Like it's so much easier to like be into hobbies and stuff like that when you actually have like that structure of like school. Like after school, I have to go to volleyball practice. After this, I have to go to this. You know, it's like you have that structure, but when you enter adulthood, it's so much harder because one, you have more say in what you do. You know, you're not forced to do anything. So you have to hold yourself accountable. And then if you don't plan those things for yourself, it's just not going to happen. And then of course, responsibilities in life just kind of gets in the way. But I feel like if we shift our perspective and value hobbies as one of those things where it's like essential to our week, then we will follow through on them. It may not be as much as when we were kids, but I feel like it could be that turning point for us when it comes to not living for the weekend. And so one thing I'm doing is really planning out, kind of like tying into number one, being intentional with planning hobbies and like doing that throughout the week, not just for the weekend, even if it's only 20 minutes a day or every other day throughout the week. I feel like these little pockets of time, though they may seem small, it's like adding more life to your week instead of just going home, sitting on the couch, watching TV for the rest of the afternoon and like going to sleep. Okay, the next thing, I kind of just mentioned it, is introducing third spaces to my routine again. Like I said, I did this when I first came to Spain, mainly because like I was new to the town, I was new to the lifestyle, and so like it seems like everyone like is casually at a cafe every second of every day. And so this kind of fell off over the past few months, but I want to reintroduce it because I even wrote an article about this and like how much it changed like my attitude, my energy throughout the week, just stopping by a cafe for like 20-30 minutes to enjoy like a cup of coffee, read, journal or whatever, and even talk to like the barista or whatever. Like that just added some spice to my week, you know? I just felt more like I wasn't just in this autopilot routine. And if you don't know what third spaces are, think of Gilmore Girls. You know Luke's and how Rory and Lorelai go to Luke's like every freaking day. Like it does not change. That's like a third space, like somewhere you frequent and somewhere that is an environment where you could just be yourself and relax and like do the things you want to do there and like meet people if that's your goal. So it's that place that's like your anchor. Okay, the next thing I noticed in those periods of my life where I felt like I wasn't just living for the weekend is when I was creating rituals or experiences around the everyday things that I do. So for example, I remember in college when I had dinner, and this is when I was really trying to practice like the things I was reading in like Deepak Chopra books and stuff like that. I would play music when I cooked. I would play music like soft jazz music when I was eating and like just be present. I remember when I had a yoga practice at the end of my day and like that was very calming as well. Like I was creating these experiences for myself, these anchors in my day to where it's like, this is just me time. I'm disconnecting from work. I'm disconnecting from social media. This is me time. And I was just creating these rituals and experiences for myself. And when I did that, it felt more like I was more grounded in the day. Like the day was mine. I was making the most of the day, whether it was a Monday, a Wednesday, whatever. And that is what made Monday through Thursday feel more special. And like I was actually living my my life instead of like putting it on pause until Friday, Saturday. And the last thing, and I know this is hard for a lot of people like me who are kind of like planners, who like to stick to like their routines and their plans and stuff like that, and that's to invite more spontaneity. And this is going to look different for everybody, and it's going to be different because obviously a lot of us are not in college anymore. We have our responsibilities, we have work and stuff like that, but just little pockets of inviting that spontaneity, like, hey, I'm going to take like a new route to work today, or hey, I'm going to try like a new coffee order today, or I'm about to head to this bookstore, let me invite a friend. These are like little things we could do in our week to break us out of that routine. And another thing I want to mention is like when we're in autopilot, our life feels like it's going by so much faster. Me and my friend were talking about this the other day. It's like every year we're like, oh my god, this year went by so fast, or like this month went by so fast. But I remember watching this one video where this guy was explaining how we can slow down time, and one thing he says is like invite new experiences into your life, invite spontaneity, because when our brain is stuck in autopilot, it meshes and blends our experiences as we go on, because it's like nothing new is breaking up that muddle. And so that's why it feels like the week goes by so fast, or like the year goes by so fast, because we're not making the effort to make new experiences and invite that spontaneity. And so that's why I put this on the list, because I was like, I don't want my life to feel like it's gonna flash by me. Like I want to actually take my time, walk through life, smell the roses, and actually experience everything I want to experience, and not just wait for the weekend to do that. Okay guys, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below for a new video every week. And let me know down below which one of these tips resonated with you. Which one of these tips are you going to challenge yourself with this quarter or this year to really stop living for the weekend? Make sure to stay inspired, and Aaliyah love you.